Grace and peace, everybody. We are back. This is going to be a quick, I'm going to call this a one and done video. I'm not going to do any editing. I'm not going to do any sprucing it up. I'm just going to drop this video and I want to hear what you think about it. The other day, I believe it was Tuesday, Candace did a video after her initial quote unquote live stream. She went on, she talked about Jeremy Boring and how much Daily Wire is attacking her, Brian Harpole, that kind of stuff like that. It was a bunch of nonsense. I think, sadly, that video is proof positive that Candace Owens is losing grip on her people. She's losing grip on Cantifa, and the mob is not mobbing like she wants them to do. I'm going to bring the video in. We're going to talk about it. I'm not going to stop a whole lot because she actually talks for a while, but I want you to just pay attention and see what if maybe you pick up what I'm picking up. Maybe I'm making it up. So let's get at it. Let's go.
So I hope it works. I guess I can wait a second here, but I'm just going to assume that it's live. Yeah, I see that it is live. Great. I have time tonight, and I just want to walk you guys through everything that's been going on with the Daily Wire, culminating in Jeremy Boring's just complete lie that he told tonight. I knew we were going to get there. We have kind of been trying to fish them out for a while. We knew, obviously, that they were behind this drive or at least I should say, we very much suspected that since the same lawyers that they had privately suing me in arbitration court for the last 2 years are the same lawyers that were suing Brett Cooper in arbitration court, the same lawyer that is now representing Brian Harpole in this case. We had received a ton of tips that, and obviously been publicly said, sue her regarding Erica Kirk, and Jeremy dressing up this, hey, I have this piece of information that we had learned that George got arrested, basically just sharing Laura Loomer's report. You have no idea how much this just triggered me, because just first
and I think that's a very telling point. She's no longer in her poised, well-mannered, poised position. She's upset. She's triggered. She's rattled, whatever terminology you need. I think there's a reason why. Now, she said that Jeremy Boring is lying. She just said that Jeremy Boring is regurgitating Laura Loomer's points. But she hasn't actually, is she going to actually prove this? Let's see.
Foremost, to get to at the heart of what they're trying to do. They have been desperately trying to destroy me and trying to destroy my family for about 3 years now since they fired me. And I'm going to go back and tell you the story of the things that they have done. But in this particular circumstance, they don't know what has happened. They have been trying to draw blood for years. And they now have Laura Loomer, who what they're largely trying to insinuate and what Jeremy says there is people should dig. You know, we heard this report and we didn't do anything when we heard this report. But people should dig and follow Laura Loomer.
Kind of like you asked people to dig into Erica Kirk. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think she's lost the plot. She's now telling people, saying that it's bad to do the things that she has been doing for the last 7, almost 8 months. Let's keep it going. It's going to get better.
To see, I don't know if George was guilty of this crime. He's kind of caging this. I don't know if George did this DUI or if he was charged, but we were approached about this and we made the noble decision not to say anything until Candace attacked Erica Kirk. It's the most despicable, dishonest narrative, first and foremost. Again, what it does to my soul when people who did not like Charlie Kirk, Jeremy, and Ben Shapiro are now using him as a shield, his family as a shield, so that they can just do what they've been doing for the last 3 years while Charlie Kirk was perfectly alive and actually backing me up when they began this pursuit of my family. He was there for me throughout it. There is just a...
So are you catching it? Are you seeing it? She's offended that Daily Wire is asking people to come after her and do basically what she has been doing to Erica Kirk, but she's feigning all this offense, like, how dare you do this, as if she has not been doing this. She has sown this. Your harvest is always going to be bigger than your seed. She has sown it and now she's reaping it, and is wild to watch. That's why I'm saying I think she's coming undone. I think she's unraveling because she's forgotten that she's been doing this. Keep it going.
A level of sinister dishonesty that these people have. I actually can say that I don't have the vocabulary to express how I feel about their nature and their truly evil nature. So yeah, what they're trying to get at the end of what he's saying there as well is like, hey, Laura Loomer is suggesting, and he's now suggesting that my husband and I, and this is categorically false. I cannot say it enough. Paid off someone. She has been saying that he was involved in a DUI hit and run. She is saying that, and they are doubling down and saying that this took place and that George and I, implying that George and I may have paid someone off and then lied to the federal government so that his record was clean as he was an immigrant. So let's interpret this the way that it is and understand why we are not going to fight fire with full fire. What they are saying, what they are hoping, this is a full-blown conspiracy theory, is that the conspiracy theory proves true and that they are successful in breaking up my family, because it would be a crime. Make no mistake. If we paid...
I don't think anybody wants to break up your family. Now, maybe I don't know Jeremy's intention. I don't know Laura's intentions. I think they want to shine the light on your crimes, on your sin, Candace, just like you've been doing. You've been doing it, and now it's coming back to roost, and you don't like it. You just don't like it. I don't think anybody wants to break up your family. Now, maybe they do, but really they want to shine the light on your hypocrisy. They're showing how hypocritical you are. Let's go.
Paid someone off to make a brandishing weapon crime of the century go away, and then we lied on our immigration docs. His immigration would be revoked. My family would be split up. Again, it's a fantasy novel. It's not true, but the fact that they were willing to bet.
But is it not true? Okay, are you going to show us how it's not true? Maybe, I don't know. I mean, we're looking at some real serious documentation that's showing something contrary to what you're saying. What is going to be your evidence proof that you are not lying? What's going to be your evidence? We have to see that.
On that and hope that it's true means that we are really getting to, I guess, a level of demented that I guess the world is actually can see, because you have Ben Shapiro right now calling for a bombing in Iran. People are going, what is wrong with him? This is how they are. They will eventually pull you into the depths of just their hatred. They have a hatred that you can't hit upon. They fired me and they have not been able to let me go for 3 years. So let me tell you the true story of what Jeremy Boring is referring to. No, Jeremy Boring did not do me and my family any favors. It is the exact opposite. They have been the people driving this campaign against my husband behind the scenes, and we have been aware of that since August of 2024, when we were contacted by the New York Post, by a reporter who had done a ton of articles in support of Ben Shapiro. We know how this works. We're not new to this. So first and foremost, it has been very obvious to me that Ben has some sort of whether it's diagnosed, I don't know, or a diagnosed mental disorder. Something happened after October 7th, and Ben began demonstrating what I would say was exuding characteristics of schizophrenia, like truly paranoid schizophrenia, where he started making accusations against me that were just not true. There was no.
Do you see how she's doing 100% what she did to Erica Kurt? I'm sorry, I'm gonna take that back. How Ben, Jeremy, Laura are doing 100% to her what she did to Erica, but she's upset about it. She's literally, now she said she's going to prove what they did wrong, but she's starting out by giving like a diagnosis of Ben Shapiro. I don't know if she's qualified to do that. Maybe I missed something. I don't know why she's giving a mental diagnosis, a health diagnosis of Ben Shapiro. Why not just tell us what actually happened without all of that caveat? Just something to think about.
Shred of truth to this. And Jeremy, because he had spent tens of millions of dollars on Pendragon and it was a financial disaster, I believe he privately began telling Ben that these conspiracies that he was coming up with were true. Namely, Ben believed truly, and Jeremy said that he believed it too, that I was devising some secret plot with Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson to bring down the Daily Wire. I was brought into an office after Ben stood up on a table and called me a faux sophisticate. And I was like, what's going on? And they basically wanted me to apologize to Ben for him having insulted me. And then because during that week I had gone on to Tucker Carlson for an appearance that had been planned before Ben got on the table, he somehow in his head thought that it meant that me and Tucker Carlson were plotting against him. I don't know how Nick Fuentes got into the scenario, but they brought me into a room and they questioned me and I didn't know what to say. I was genuinely 9 months pregnant and I was so shocked that they even thought this was a plausibility that I was just disturbed by even the insinuation. Obviously, it was not true. I didn't even, at that time, Nick Fuentes wasn't even on social media. He was on like Cozy or something like that. And I was not watching his show at all. And I had only spoken to Nick Fuentes once in my life pertaining to Kanye West about 2 years earlier. And I told him.
So I'm going to drop down in the description of this video. I'll drop the Jeremy Boring video after they fire Candace Owens. It's going to be on you to decide who is more probable, who's more believable, rather. Is it Jeremy or is it Candace? And Candace never really denied this video when it came out almost 4 months ago. And now I'm looking at it and listening to it. I'm wondering if there's a reason why she never did. But let's go.
And that I was forthcoming and honest. Anyway, when I was fired, my firing docs consisted of, I think it was about 35 points for firing. And all of it read like one long paranoid schizophrenic rant. The first like 5 pages were pictures of Groyper tweets, meaning obviously that they still believed that the conspiracy theory was true and that somehow I was working with Groypers. There was not a shred of proof to this. So among their reasons was Groypers. I think they themselves were the ones that leaked to TMZ that part of the reason was because when I went on Fresh and Fit, they have money that comes in. And I guess when they were talking about Ben Shapiro, there was a register sound, like a cash register sound. I don't know if that's unique to Rumble, if that's a DJ sound. I had never done this show before. In fact, I was given the opportunity to go on the show from the Daily Wire. The PR person said, Fresh and Fit contacted, do you want to do this? I said, sure. And that was a part of the reason I was fired, because a ka-ching sound effect, which they said was anti-Semitic. These are all, I just want you guys to understand, these are all real reasons that I was fired. I had no idea that Fresh and Fit and the noises went on in the background the whole time during when they talked about other people,
really
Christians as well. This was part
since Candace doesn't have any problem sharing text messages. In a moment, she's going to throw some of her friends under the bus and expose their dealings and so on and so forth. Why don't you actually share the document that they gave you? I know you still have it. You have a digital copy of it at least. Why don't you share that? Because you're just telling us this. And we would like to maybe see it. And maybe that would really help sway the audience and such like that. But you're not going to do that. And we know that.
The reasons Ben had registered that as an intentional hit against Jews. I'm just thinking of recent off the top of my head, crazy when I tell you like ramblings. Justin Amash, who was a former congressman, had tweeted that he lost his family in there were some bombings. The IDF had bombed a church. It was, I think I'm saying it wrong, but St. Porphyrius Church. And I tweeted to him and I said, I'm so sorry that you lost your family. It was one of the reasons listed that I got fired. And the reason that they explained was because I should have said, when I said, I'm sorry that you lost your family, that, but I should have said, but, you know, the IDF, this is really the fault of Hamas. I'm giving you like, there was not one reason that I actually did something, that I actively did something. It was all like that. What I could have done, what I should have done, and what they perceived was the majority of it was a Groyper conspiracy. So I can just...
Where's the evidence to it? Like, we would love to see it. Maybe we would be swayed to believe you, Candace, if you actually shared with us what it was. Besides telling us this, how about you actually give us the evidence, show the evidence on the screen that that's what they did. It would just maybe help you out.
That Nick Fuentes, major win, 100%, fully in their heads. I had no communication with you. Nonetheless, we agreed to separate and they sent this thing and they wanted me to pay them. I almost laughed. I was about to hit the stage at Turning Point USA, and I almost laughed at the insinuation that they sent me a schizophrenic ramblings for what my offenses were. And on top of that, they wanted me to pay them like for violating, I don't know, somebody's thoughts. I don't know, violating Graper. I don't even know what it was. And I basically said to my lawyers, I'm not paying them a dime, and I'm going to publish this entire thing online so people can see what this company actually is. And at that point, we had agreed that that would be best not to do that. They agreed to pay me out, I think, until the end of the year. I don't remember what the exact estimation was. And we would go away and say nothing about each other. And we would both just say a statement. And I was very content with that, because at that point, I thought that they were completely deranged. I thought Bennett had a mental break, and I didn't want anything to do with the company. So there was no further step that needed to be done on my part. Obviously, you guys know what happens next. Andrew Klavan posts the Christ is King video within 48 hours after we signed this agreement, and it completely backfires. And they end up losing tens of thousands of subscribers over this planned attack. And we obviously, on my side, were like, didn't we just sign an agreement that the employees wouldn't talk trash to each other, that I wouldn't say anything about the employees, they wouldn't say anything about me? And they kind of came back and said, ha, 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 tricky clause. Andrew Klavan's actually a carve-out. He's not technically an employee. He's contracted, and he's protected. So they maneuvered it so that they could still hit me and smear me, but if I responded, I would get sued. Despite this, because of the Christ is King scandal, I still got sued. So they basically were suing to get the money back that we had agreed to separate. And their reasons for their claim, even though they had insulted me publicly, was that I had violated the NDA by responding to Andrew Klavan's video where he completely defamed me. He referred to me as anti-Semitic, Christ is King, the scandal he couldn't get over. And Jeremy signed some thing saying we lost tens of thousands of subscribers because they insulted me. So I was being sued because of what they did to me, but they were able to construe this as disparagement by going through my likes. Okay?
So the reason I'm saying that she's coming unglued is she has gone on for the better part of 10 minutes. Remember, she's almost like given up on trying to justice for Charlie Kirk. She's given up on that and finding the true quote unquote killer of Charlie Kirk. She's given up on that. Now it's true 100%. I am a victim in any way, shape, and form. And I need to let people know how much of a victim I am. We're not talking about what has happened in the past with the Daily Wire. That has nothing to do with now. And actually, truth be told, we've heard you tell this story before, but you've given us no more evidence than you did when you told us the first time. So why are you telling us the story? That's my question. And what's that have to do with now with Jeremy Boring saying that they have evidence and proof that your husband did have a DUI, he did flee the scene, and did have a gun? That all this stuff that you're telling us has nothing to do with that. It just seems interesting.
So when you're in arbitration court, it's a private court. Right. You will try to get away with things. I'm learning this now. Obviously, when you sign an agreement and you think everybody's normal, you don't predict that someone's going to have a mental break. You don't predict, you don't really know what an arbitration court is. I mean, I will say that, like, I have never been in arbitration court. I just thought it was sort of like, hey, we don't want to have a big messy fight. Let's agree that we're going to do this privately. I didn't realize this means that we can continue to stalk you for years, and we can just keep bringing you back in here and say that you're violating a disparagement clause. And then it's going to be up to a judge who's going to have the sole power to decide whether that's right or wrong, right? There's no jury. No one's going to see it in the public. That's ridiculous. And they just did this. They came up with a bunch of offenses, including likes. So the majority of this was like, if someone, I couldn't say anything to defend myself during this Christ is King thing, but if I liked someone saying, this is ridiculous, I can't believe the Daily Wire is doing this, how dare they drafted that into the lawsuit. Candace liked this tweet, and you get this old judge doesn't even know what a like is. Nobody looks at people's likes on X. This is when X had likes. And this became grounds for them to sue me for millions of dollars. Okay. So we went into arbitration court, and we're duking this out. And when this is happening, we receive some sort of an understanding, and this, I'm going to get documents from our lawyers. I had to send them a note today that they were simultaneously trying to find and dig in through me and George's life to try to find things that would embarrass us, and or a private investigator of sorts or whatever. And
so is that not what Candace does when she's asked the mommy sleuths to stalk Erica Kurt in her building and find out where she is at all times? Is that not what you did? Again, I think the problem is Candace doesn't like the fact that Daily Wire and Laura Loomer and others are doing the exact same thing that she was doing to Erica Kirk. Now it's, oh, woe is me, I'm a victim. But you weren't a victim when you were doing it to somebody else. I'm here for it.
We were like, okay, fine. We live our lives very nobly. We have nothing to hide. This is 2024. And when we were in France, I think it was in France, that's when we got the call from the New York Post. The New York Post called us and they said, and this is literally a writer who always was writing on behalf of Ben Shapiro in all of these wars, online wars that were happening, with court cases raging on. And he says, we have this document and it proves that George was got a DUI charge, blah, blah. This is going through our PR agent. Our PR agent says that didn't happen. George was never charged for a DUI. And this report that you have doesn't exist. It says that he has black hair. The New York Times never runs it. And we never hear from the New York Post, pardon me. We never hear from them again. At the same time, this was literally a blessing from God as we're fighting them in court. Brett Cooper pulls her contract. And they call my lawyer. We found out from a Daily Wire because they were so paranoid.
What does this have to do with anything? In a moment, she's about to throw Brett under the bus. Like, what does this have to do with the case? I want to know more about, so the reporter called you, you told them it was hogwash, and they just didn't run it? Okay. They just didn't run it. They had this hot story, this salacious story, and they didn't run it just because you said it was bad? Okay. All right. Okay.
Matt Sarlson, their lawyer, believed the shadows on the wall were real. They believed that we were plotting things, that we were working with Brett Cooper. No such thing was true. I actually was not close to Brett Cooper when I worked at the Daily Wire. I had done a couple of things with her, like we did this skit in London, and I think she had come on my show, I had done her show, but we shot at totally different times and we just didn't get to see each other. So we maybe truly hung out like 5 times the whole time I was at the Daily Wire. And so when this happened and we found out from their lawyer, because he was so convinced, Matt Sarlson, that we had something to do with it, that he told us, we were absolutely shocked. I called Brett, got the inside scoop, obviously, on her. I was like, what the heck? You pulled your contract. And her reasons were completely related to Jeremy. It had nothing to do with anything that was happening, obviously, between me and Ben, anything that's happening with Israel. It was generally, everyone knows Jeremy Boring is a creep, and those were her reasons. And then he got extra creepy and tried to basically do what he was doing to me, what him and Ben were doing to me, to Brett Cooper, except she was like a 22-year-old. Same exact methodology. They started looking through her likes. You might remember that there was this random article that was written about her. And I had all the markings. I saw it happening to her about her liking a post. And so this, what is her name? Alyssa Cordova was basically tasked with stalking us. So if you commented on YouTube, they would pull this into a lawsuit. They would call this disparagement. They would bring these things and they would have people write articles about what you liked. That's where the entire...
So you don't see, Candace, that's exactly 100% what you did when you were dogging Erica Kirk, digging up great uncles and stepfathers, second wives, and all that kind of stuff like that. You didn't see that that's exactly what you were doing? Again, the harvest is always greater than the seed. You sowed this and now you're reaping your harvest, Candace.
Your narrative of Candace liked a tweet about Jews drinking Christian blood came from. It came from me liking a tweet of somebody defending me against Rabbi Shmuley, against something that I didn't do. But they ignored that part, and then he said, are you drunk on Christian blood or something? And then they ran with that and they made that like front page news. Also, I believe that was one of the reasons that I got fired, because they had them run the article and then say that I caused them embarrassment or something like that. It was totally insane over a like. Anyway, to fast forward through this, they I guess couldn't fight a 2-front war, and Jeremy was then super focused on destroying Brett Cooper and this master plot to get her best friend to take over. The best friend obviously is not very talented and had agreed that she was gonna, like, that was who Brett Cooper was confiding in. I'm sorry, Brett, for putting your business on the streets, about why she wanted to leave. That was her actual friend at the Daily Wire, and this girl had, been essentially a shoulder for Brett Cooper to cry on, and was like, yeah, you can do it. I'm going to leave with you. This is my understanding. And then Jeremy decided to go to her and offer her more money than he had ever paid Brett Cooper to take her spot. because he wanted her to suffer. That's the reality of what happened. She just wanted to quit her job. He wanted her to suffer. And then after that happened, and the public, just by kind of picking up on vibes, correctly figured out what was going on. And we're like, wait a second, are they trying to like do this weird thing with her best friend? They obviously sued Brett Cooper. One of the reasons, just so you understand, when I say that arbitration court allows people to abuse people, and again, I am going to pre-apologize to Brett Cooper for putting this on the streets, but I think it's really important for people to understand.
I just want you to see again, nobody is safe. Even people that she's attempting to defend, or even people who are allied with them, their stories are not safe. She is going to put you on blast no matter what, whether you're her friend or her foe, an ally or an enemy, it doesn't matter. She's going to put you out there, and she's going to put your news, your information out there on blast. This is crazy work, man.
And what the Daily Wire is, because they are truly sadistic, they are truly psychopathic, and they will never stop. There is nothing that will stop them, and they want destruction, like what Ben is calling for. They don't care if everybody dies. Like they truly, I think Ben was probably warmed on Easter morning when Trump tweeted that an entire civilization would die tonight. Like that's the kind of stuff that's how they behave. So they pretend that they're these gentlemen, and obviously I'm not referring to the other talent there, but I am referring specifically to Jeremy and Ben Shapiro. There is a very dark side to them that disturbs me. And when it came to Brett and the stalking of her and the exact same mechanisms, they sued her because on her last day of work, she wore a blue shirt. And her last day of work, she wore a blue shirt. That is one of the reasons that they wanted to sue this girl into what would have been bankruptcy, because she didn't have any money. But Brett was not getting paid the money that I was getting paid for Daily Wire, right? They had got her when she was really young. I think she was making initially something like $75K, whatever, like an employee they were trying to show him, and it really worked.
I mean, the average salary in America is considerably less than that. But why are you putting this woman's information out there that she got sued because she wore a blue shirt? Because there's a lot more questions that people have, and either A, they're going to believe you, or B, they're going to think that you're a liar. Like, why would they sue her over a blue shirt? Like, that doesn't make any sense, Candace. But why are you telling this woman's story like that? You just put it out there recklessly, but that's what you do.
Worked out, and so they were suing her for wearing a blue shirt, and I guess what happened was that, unbeknownst to Brett, before her last episode, somebody had commented, because they stalk your comments, and said, if you have an NDA, wear a blue shirt. And on her last day, she happened to wear a blue shirt. It's also the color that most people wear 3 times a week. And so they sued her for it, because then the internet, I guess, created, I don't know if it was Reddit or whoever it was, said, oh my God, she wore a blue shirt. She has an NDA. She can't talk. And so that became the grounds for Jeremy to try to bankrupt Brett. And I wouldn't have that. Once I knew what was going on, I was willing to have them, smear me as an anti-Semite. I was willing, which they did obviously tenfold, to chase me from here to Australia, getting their Zionist network to attack me and to ruin my life and to go after my YouTube channel. I mean, I dealt with all of it, but I really had to draw a line at Brett Cooper. She's not involved in speaking about those kinds of politics. This is a girl that genuinely wanted to just get married and leave her job. And so I decided to, be a big sister and defend her on my show and say that Brett was not an anti-Semite. When Jeremy did a video speaking about her, I used my platform to defend her, knowingly one time that it would violate my.
Because that makes you the superhero. That makes you the hero of the story. I just did a quick search, and the story about her being sued because of the blue shirt is false. It's false. Like, where is the proof? And again, Candace is just talking. She's just bloviating. There is nothing. She's not showing you one shred of evidence that any of this is true. Not a shred. Now, again, she's the one that keeps text messages from 2018, 2017. Then you don't have the actual document that they gave you with all of this unfair reasons for firing you. You don't have the information about Brett Cooper getting fired, and they wrote it on a piece of paper that they fired her because she had a blue shirt on. Maybe you should have that before you say this. That's why I think she's coming undone. She's literally getting on here to defend herself, and she's actually making herself look worse. She should probably take a note from Brian Harpole and just be quiet. Just be quiet. Yell it into an envelope and throw it in the garbage. But don't get on this here internet and talk, because you're just making yourself look worse. This is not making you look stronger.
Contract, and that of course they would sue me again, and sue me again they did. This time they sued me for a ton of things, and again making psychic arguments in court on the list, and it was a birthday present from Jeremy to himself. He double sued me and Brett actually, and listed were all sorts of psychic arguments. Every YouTuber that had made videos about Brett Cooper were put into this lawsuit. Their conspiracy this time was I wasn't working with groypers, but I was working with YouTubers. I will name one YouTuber who I absolutely was not working with, who was making organic videos about what was going on with Brett, who I had to contact because he was going to have to get drafted into court. The Quartering was one such person. I can't remember the name of the other people, but it was basically Groyper 2.0, but this time featuring YouTubers that I had never spoken to, who I had to introduce myself to because I needed them to come to court because they wanted $300,000 for every infraction, and every infraction meant if I liked a video that a YouTuber made, if I commented and said, this is great, and they found the video that they made to be disparaging toward the Daily Wire, they wanted the court to find reason to bankrupt me. And
you need to get a burner account, Candace. At this stage of the game, I mean, social media is not that important. I'm sorry. If they're going to bankrupt you and they're doing all this and it's just because you like or follow or comment, baby, you need to get you a Biker Babe 7000 burner account. Good gracious alive. Like, leave it alone.
To be clear, it's actually against the law to do that, to use NDA, non-disparagement clauses, to effectively force people out of the market. But in arbitration court, you're actually allowed to break the law. All they have to say is that they believe that these two people understood the contract when they signed it. And even if it goes against Tennessee law, they can break the law. So even like they can bankrupt you in arbitration court. There's nothing you can do about it. So that began round 2 of being sued by the Daily Wire. And a part of that also, and again, I'm giving you like, there was always a very long list of likes and things that I did that I didn't know that they were just stalking me across every platform.
How does this have to do with anything related to the most recent case? Because nobody clearly is bothered by this, because we've heard these stories before. Now we're hearing it now like all in one stream of consciousness, but we've heard these stories before. These are not new stories. So what about you addressing the drunk driving, leaving the scene, having a weapon? How about you address that and give us proof and evidence that that's not true? Because they're showing proof and evidence. And I got this bad sneaking suspicion that there's going to be a video that shows up. And once the video shows up, it's a wrap. Because it's funny. I want to hear her talk about the drunk driving incident, because every time she tells it, she gives more information but denies it. Like, because initially she said it wasn't true at all, and then she said it was just a little fender bender in the parking lot, and then it's kept growing into something else. So I really want you to like tell me, what is the final form of this story, Candace? Let's go.
But probably the wildest one was the psychic argument that, and these were psychic arguments, obviously. Like a psychic argument would be Brett knew she was wearing a blue shirt. A psychic argument would be that I had somehow put into the mind of Phil Turney, who I had on my show for the USS Liberty. I got sued for that. He shared a story, and at some point during his story, he addressed the camera and he said to both Charlie Kirk and to Ben Shapiro that it was not a conspiracy theory and that the USS Liberty actually happened. Okay, who cares, right? Well, they wanted for me to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for him saying that statement because it was disparaging to Ben. And we played Ben in his own words just to like cover that, so that in case Phil was wrong and Ben didn't say that, we included a clip of what Ben actually did say. Didn't matter. They found that that they think that I induced Phil Turney to feel that way about Ben, and they wanted me to pay for allowing this man who has survived so much. He's like 76 years old. I was going to have to ask him to come into court to defend me against being bankrupted from the Daily Wire. Again, this is all happening when I'm trying to start my company and trying to go solo. And simultaneously, they're still running this game of trying to get the press to go after me, to go after my family. So when I say it has been a nonstop onslaught against my life, this is what I mean. And I do think it's time for us to share the documents so people can actually read the documents of what my family has lived through, because I feel like I should be doing a series like Surviving the Daily Wire. People don't understand what it's been like, and we.
So just like It's just like it's funny, and I'm only laughing because I don't think she realizes just how ironic this conversation is. Ma'am, this is 100% what you've been doing to Erica. 100% what you've been doing to Turning Point. The seed is always going to be smaller than the harvest. You are getting back what you sowed. That's it. There's no other way around it. And you've been getting it back in spades. And I got this bad feeling it's going to actually pick up. This is some wild work. So now she's going to do a series called Surviving Daily Wire. Why don't you do it? Do it. Do it. You did. You gave up on the Macrones. You gave up on Charlie Kirk. You gave up on Erica Kirk. Now go ahead and do the Daily Wire. And, 9 episodes later, you'll give up on that. Like, just go ahead and give up on it or get started on it so you can give up on it.
Have never played dirty back with them. We have never. Everything they ever put together was a conspiracy theory in their own head. We don't play that way. We have genuinely, and I partially think that's the reason why we've been protected by them, and why conclusions like even the Brett thing happening, which they thought was a big conspiracy and it wasn't. I also got questioned in court about Patrick Bet David. I mean, any conspiracy you can think of, I have been subjected to because no one wanted to acknowledge that Ben was wrong when he got up on the table and called me faux sophisticate. So the conspiracy theories are getting wilder and wilder and wilder.
You mean really? Are you listening to yourself, Candace? Are you listening to yourself? I do pray that you hear yourself at night when you sleep. Hear your own voice. Like you can't be this obtuse. You have come up with some of the most ridiculous conspiracy theories. And that's why nobody's giving you any duck or cover here. We're going to laugh at you and mock you, and mockery will continue until your morale improves. Because, ma'am, this is exactly what you've been doing.
But them trying to dress up like they morally have to do the right thing, and they want people to focus on finding out, which again I will say is categorically false. The idea that my husband and I would play politics to that degree, that we have that power. We don't know anybody here in Tennessee, Nashville, outside of the Catholic Church. That is our entire network. So just want to state that. But this week has been a doozy. We knew it was Daily Wire.
So you don't know anybody else outside of your church. That's interesting. So that means that everybody that you know, that you rock with, your homeschool groups, that you get together for bridge or whatever, all your friends are in the Catholic Church. That means also that all your friends, the Catholic Church knows what your shenanigans are on YouTube and social media. Okay.
Because when Laura was pulling up certain documents, there were trusts that we had asked the Daily Wire to pay, like payments that only the Daily Wire would know existed. LLCs that we had asked the Daily Wire to pay that only the Daily Wire would have known existed. She was not finding this stuff on her own, and of course she winged.
So the trust does exist. So the Battery Lane Trust exists. Is that what you're saying, Candace? That's what I'm saying. Candace, you need to get off these cameras. You should not have done this. Now, you just admitted that the Battery Lane Trust exists. Is that what you're saying? And that Laura Loomer was correct in saying that you all bought a house, and that you all are affiliated with the Battery Lane Trust? Okay.
And kind of hinted at the timing that they were, all coordinating this attack with Brian Harpole lawsuit, Matt Sarlson being the lawyer. He's retweeting her about my husband. And so it was very obvious to us, because we have lived this with the Daily Wire, because this has been just what our life has been for the last 3 years, that this was orchestrated by them. And this was kind of like Benny's last stand, with a nice ad from Jeremy, who is, it is difficult for you. Like I said, you could ask anybody that's worked with the Daily Wire, at the Daily Wire, outside of Michael Knowles, who gets along with anybody, what Jeremy is. He's just a malignant narcissist. He will always build himself a stage.
Isn't Michael Knowles your child? He's probably one of the few people at Daily Wire who has not called you out. And even then, you just throw him under the bus. She can't help herself, man. She cannot help herself being vile to everybody. Michael Knowles is probably the only person at Daily Wire that's actually trying to be gracious to you, that I can see at least.
will always pretend that he is moral and principled. I mean, he has tortured people for things that his niece did at the Daily Wire, people who work on my team today. The stories about Jeremy Boring, if you wanted to do a series, would be unceasing. But I do want to acknowledge something else, because he pretended that they were taking a moral principle. And we don't know. We don't know if George Farmer was found guilty of a DUI. We don't know if he gave money.
Ma'am, that's what you've been doing, though. I'm going to say it again. Ma'am, the harvest is always greater than the seed. You have been sowing this for 8 months. Don't be surprised that it's coming back. Just don't be surprised. You've been doing the same thing to everybody else. Fill in the blank, man. We could probably list off 10, if not 12 people that you've done the exact same thing to. We don't know. But ma'am, you've done this. Oh my gosh, this is crazy work.
And we stayed out, but she's attacking a widow, as if they weren't trying to get this story out themselves behind the scenes, like I said, long before the Daily Wire ever got involved. But there is stories that have happened at the Daily Wire that they certainly did know, that were pertaining to their own employees, that happened just last year, and that they were keen to knock it out to the public, and which I think people would care a lot more about, than a DUI charge, because it involves pedophilia, and it's one of the most disgusting, demonic stories that I've ever heard, and it pertains to their.
Why is it that every time somebody falls out of grace with Candace Owens, PDF file accusations come into play? Have you noticed that? Every time some kind of metal diddying with children comes into play. Erica, Turning Point was where they're located is near some mall where runaways go. Fill in the blank, man. Every time Candace has an issue with somebody, PDF file accusations come in. And that's disrespectful to people who really, truly are victims, who are really, truly being trafficked, or really, truly were victims of PDF behavior. She's just making everything. She's just throwing it out there like, oh, today's Wednesday. Rain is wet. Somebody's a PDF. She's just doing it. And it's just random foolishness, but let her go.
A longtime employee named Zach Lewis. So Zach Lewis, and you should know, but he was employed and working with Bent Key Kids. That's kind of a crucial element. And they have tried to sort of disappear the story as they try and attempt to moralize. And of course, to be frank, had they not began these demonic attacks against my family over the last 2 weeks because their company is failing, I probably would have followed the philosophy that, it's not really a business, and we stay away from the Daily Wire's business because they just attack us, doing shows about us in the no, constantly doing that. We never hit back. We don't want to waste our time and our energy on this. But regarding Zach Lewis,
she's been dogging. You've been picking on the Daily Wire well more than they've been picking on you. But like I said, the harvest is going to be greater than the seed.
Because I really think it just shows you how these people attempt to moralize and attack other people's families when these are the things that they are surrounded by and hoping the public never finds out. Zach Lewis, like I said, is a longtime employee of theirs who works on the camera. And the report, which actually, kudos to you, Twitter actually approached the Nashville Police Department in January of 2025. So this is, Jeremy, when you were the CEO. So maybe, actually, I think if journalists want to dig into something, this might be the one that's more interesting, given our fascination with the manner in which it seems that people who support Israel will also protect the Epstein class of pedophiles. I just feel like this might be a better and a stronger hook rather than going on a wild goose.
Well, if you believe that, then, and let's say you're right. Let's say that you're right. Why don't you go ahead and take all of your information to the authorities, because they're in Nashville too, and ask that an investigation be started or at least initiated into this situation? Why don't you do that? Why are you putting it out on the interweb when you could walk down there around the street, around the corner to the Nashville Police Department and get this thing started? Just wonder.
Chase, which is going to be a wild goose chase, just so you know, because we absolutely did not pay anybody off, and we absolutely did not lie on any of George's documents. You can state that, cut that, put it everywhere, go on a wild goose chase. I don't really care if it's known for the Daily Wire to do this sort of things. But on January 23rd, 2025, Metro Nashville Police Department, we had received a tip from Twitter, X, formerly Twitter, stating that they had accessed an account, Party Harbor, which is Zach Lewis, and I will say allegedly, but he's been arrested. He's been sitting in prison because he had sent a file containing child sexual abuse material. A search warrant for the contents of Party Harbor's account showed that child sex abuse of a minor file was a video depicting a prepubescent female child performing on a adult male's penis, prepubescent child. While he, and I'm going to use the word finishes on this, I will drop the report. The child sex.
Why don't you just go ahead and take this to the police then? Why are you doing this, Candace? This is so gross.
And then sent it to a 16-year-old female who identified herself as a 16-year-old female. After learning the age of the defendant, that Zach Lewis, also requested and received a nude video of her, the 16-year-old. And then the police officer writes, I have positively identified this minor female victim. The search warrant further revealed multiple other chat logs in which the user of Party Harbor requested and received nude images of users who identified themselves as minor females. I have positively identified one other 15-year-old minor female from whom Party Harbor requested and received a nude video on November 18, 2024 local time, after she had identified herself as a minor. The defendant, who was identified through a subpoena to PayPal for account information associated with a transaction where Party Harbor purchased nude images of a user who claimed to be a minor. PayPal responded that the user is Zachary Lewis. This is his address in Nashville, Davidson County. A subpoena to Comcast for subscriber information related to the IP address associated with Party Harbor also came back to the same address in the name of Zach Lewis. Now, I am told that when he was first arrested, the Daily Wire, and I will say allegedly, did not fire him, that they kept him on following this notion of innocence until proving guilty. And I will, and then as people began finding out the details of this, and I can't tell you how fast that timeline was, he eventually was fired. And my understanding is that he is in prison today, but this happened last year under Jeremy's watch. And so, yeah, Jeremy, right back at you. So while you have them doing calling on journalists to do what you always do, like you did in the courts, I said to you, we could have gone to the ends of the earth in court. You were never going to find anything on me because I live my life honestly. I never colluded against Daily Wire. I never leaked to anybody. And I always say people that begin on a pursuit with Jeremy and Ben Shapiro will find themselves chasing shadows on the wall. Of course, we would never be so foolish. We take our family very seriously as to lie on our citizenship. But I do think that this might be a case that people want to follow. I do think if you are an honest journalist and a sincere journalist, getting to the bottom of how long this employee worked for the Daily Wire, especially since he worked for the Benke Kids Department under Jeremy Boring's watch, might be of some interest. So we'll be dropping that information. And tomorrow we will also be providing more information about the reasons that I was fired. I think publishing the documents of what they put me through in court, so people understand that this is a company that has a mental disorder operating as a company. This is like paranoid schizoid delusions, and they are able to, because of the power of the network of media people that Ben has, able to stalk and harass. It's now been 3 years. They cannot list any offense that I've done to them. Jeremy's excuse tonight is that I told the truth about Pendragon. The reality is that Pendragon is what turned the company upside down. Everybody knows that. He spent way too much money on it. He's hoping that he can pretend like he was the genius that kept Daily Wire afloat. That just simply is not the truth. It was thanks to documentaries that were being done by the talent after the money came in. He then wanted all of the money to focus on his projects and made it about him because Jeremy is always looking for a stage. That's what he's doing right now. It is the reason why he's starting a podcast, and every episode is just talking about me and Tucker Carlson. The beginning of their delusions began with me and Tucker Carlson and some remarkable plot they thought was happening, which never was. And we could have been in court for 10 years. They would never have landed upon that plot because it matters to me not to go to bed with that sort of ick on me. So good. I'm glad that we are fighting each other by the face to face and let fire meet fire. I'm also happy that the public now recognizes that it was always you guys. I was working with Laura Loomer. There's no way that we had.
That's actually not true. We don't know that. And maybe I'm telling you right now, I got a bad feeling there's going to be a video that shows up about that vehicle, and that's going to throw the whole thing into a tizzy. Now, I don't know why Daily Wire, and maybe I missed it and I might not be paying close attention to her. I don't know why the story about the guy that went to jail is on Jeremy's shoulders because the guy's in jail. Like, is he still running free? And she said it pretty clearly. He didn't get fired immediately, but he was in jail within the year. So what time? And it didn't seem like it was a long period of time. So it just seems odd that she thinks that's a catch. But let her finish up.
I have police over today. I've got 2 of my cars online, a car that takes my child. I have literally LLCs and trusts that only the Daily Wire could have known that are being leaked to her. And of course, Matt Sarlson, who is their lawyer that has been suing me for 2 years, constantly retweeting her. So it was obvious to us, but now it's obvious to the public. And I do want you guys to know that we are planning on playing offense with this. We are developing a plan to deal with this because it's been 3 years of what is just stalking and harassment being dressed up as some noble pursuit that has absolutely nothing to do with Erica and everything to do with me surviving their vicious attacks. They have wanted to destroy my family. They have wanted to destroy my life, and they won't win. That's the reality. They won't win, but they will destroy themselves in the process. So if you have any questions, I will answer. I will definitely also drop these documents regarding Zach Lewis. And beyond that, I'll see you guys tomorrow on the show.
She never did drop those documents. And, that's about par for the course, where the documents are promised, information, evidence, receipts are promised, the artifacts never show up. And I just think it's interesting. But my reason for doing this video is I really think that we are watching Candace Owens lose control of the narrative. In the past, she's been attacking, but nobody has been attacking her. She's been, slandering and all that kind of stuff like that, projecting on others, but nobody's been rebounding it back. Well, now we're watching people push back. Shout out to Laura Loomer. We're watching people push back. Jeremy and Ben. Keep at it. Let it go. Because I think this is what needs to happen. It needs to come back to her. She needs to see this in her own in 4K. She needs to see it in 4K. She's putting that out there and it's coming back to her. And I'm here to watch it. What do you think? Do you think that there's any merit to the story about her husband getting the DUI, getting in the accident, having the weapon? Do you think there's any merit to that? You think it's just all crazy? Tell me what you think. Comment down below. Give me your 2 cents. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so very much for supporting the channel. Thank you so much for being a part of the best live chat on the internet and the most electrifying comment section. I'll see you all real soon. Grace and peace.